Okay, so I'll start there. AFC East.
AFC East.
Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. I mean, objectively, I thought the Pats got a franchise quarterback. I had Drake May number 2. They got him number 3. I have him as in that franchise tier of grade that I put on him. So it's hard to call them a loser in the draft. I didn't love the rest of their picks.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like a standout. I don't think it's franchise changing outside of Drake May by any means.
Right.
But they got Drake May. So they have to be a winner in that regard.
So they got a guy that they really believe can be the anchor of that franchise. I still like the Bills draft, specifically Keon Coleman. Getting him a little bit later was nice. I know if I'm going to go losers, I'm probably going to say the Dolphins.
Okay.
Because I think the Jets. Hey, is it the Jets?
I like the Jets draft.
So then it has to be the Dolphins.
Corley, I thought those were good picks.
Yeah, then it's got to be the Dolphins.
I thought Jordan Travis was a good pick. They just didn't have a ton of draft capital.
Yeah, and they didn't to get the stuff that they really need. They don't.
I think pick for pick, I think I like the Patriots the least, but then they got Drake May.
Right.
I think pick for pick, I like the Dolphins actually the most, but they just didn't have a ton of draft capital. So that's how I feel about them. I wouldn't put any of these guys in the top 5, but I don't think I'd put any of these guys in the bottom 10 in my draft rankings.
Okay.
I thought everyone kind of ticked the box.
So what's up? What's next?
AFC North, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Bengals. Easy winner for me is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes. I
thought they had one of the best drafts of anyone in attendance. We can name some of their picks here. Troy Fautanu, first rounder, got him at 20. You're starting left tackle next year.
Roman Wilson.
Zach Frazier, second round, starting center next year. Roman Wilson, you're starting number 2 wide receiver next year in the 3rd round. Peyton Wilson, starting off-ball linebacker next year in the 3rd round as well. Mason McCormick, an awesome developmental interior offensive lineman. And then Logan Lee, a solid rotational 3-4 defensive end type. Just no skip, like a no skip. That's a great draft sort of thing.
I mean, the Browns
didn't have the draft.
They didn't have the. They didn't have the ability to really do anything.
I did not love. So I loved Mike Call Jr. Second round pick. Thought he was a great value pick at the back end of the 2nd round. Top 32 player on my board. Loved that one. But then Zach Zinter, I thought 3rd round was rich. I don't know who else was drafting a guy coming off the injury he had in the 3rd round.
Right.
I would have waited. And then there are day 3 guys. I didn't see any of them becoming stars or whatnot. So I think they have to be the losers in this division if there is one. Not having a ton of draft capital doesn't help. But I like what the Bengals did with Amarius Mims, Jermaine Burton, Chris Jenkins as well. I thought that's just a very good draft. And Baltimore Ravens, a kind of business as usual. Nate Wiggins is a starting corner for you with high-end coverage ability. Roger Rosengarten's your starting right guard. Adisa Isaac is a great developmental edge rusher. And Devontae Walker, in that offense at least, I like their TJ Tampa.
Especially with the play action that they're going to be playing, with the opportunity of, if you can play action, it's 2 play actions. It's the action of going to Derrick Henry and the action of Lamar Jackson running. Now, all of a sudden, he can take the top off that defense. So I like that. I think they come in second there for me. So you've got to give the Browns. I think we got to put them at the bottom, simply because they gave up a lot to get a little, based on what we've seen out of Deshaun Watson.
And you do have to factor that in, right? I mean, a lot of people wanted to say, "Oh, why didn't they have that draft capital?" Well, it's because it's used on one of quarterback who's just objectively been not good for them. So you do have to factor that in.
Titans, JC. We're going to AFC South. JC Latham and T'Vondre Sweat. To me, those are 2 big wins. Literally big, and also just
quite
big.
literally, yeah. I mean, they are. That's an off-the-bus duo that I love. Their tape.
The bus is going to go up when they get off the bus.
I love their tape, man. You can say it's rich for either of those guys. You also weren't going to find another guy like that anywhere in this draft. They were one of one dudes.
You can barely find humans like that on the planet.
Exactly. So, tone setters on each side of the ball. Didn't have a pick until the 4th, but I like Cedric Gray. I like Jarvis Brownlee, and I like Jaquan Jackson. So I cannot put the Titans last in this division, even though I think the Colts did have my favorite draft in this division.
Colts crushed it.
Latu, Adonai Mitchell, Matt Goncalves, the tackle/guard from Pittsburgh, Tanner Bortolini, center from Wisconsin. Rest of day 3 is kind of whatever, but those are your top kind of 125 picks, and I liked them all.
Yeah, so I think the Colts are the winner.
Colts are the winner. Give me the Titans next. Texans I liked. Didn't necessarily love. I wouldn't put it as like a top 10 draft, but I like Kamari Lassiter. I like Blake Fisher. I like Kalen Bullock, and I like Cade Stover. Don't love any of those guys. Wouldn't go to absolute war for them in terms of like any of those guys being studs.
Right.
But they didn't have that first-round pick actually after the trade they made for Will Anderson a year ago.
Sure. So.
And then we go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I like their draft more than I usually like the Jags drafts.
Right.
But I just do not see eye to eye philosophically with the way Trent Baalke drafts. He drafts pure traits. He does not. Right. He wants tall, long,
fast,
explosive.
Yes.
He cares too little about on-field performance more often than not. But I like Brian Thomas. I like Mason Smith. They drafted literally 3 guys from LSU.
Yeah.
And they drafted the longest guy in the draft, Miles Cole. So it's a unique draft, but it's what Trent Baalke does. All right, AFC West.
AFC West. We'll start with the Chiefs and Xavier Worthy. Obviously, we all like him. We're going to throw in. What are we going to do? Adam Hicks. I mean, it feels fine. They got some help, Kingsley, and
I'd call it a solid A- draft. You know, this is good drafting.
It's the
for
draft
the
you
position
have.
they're in. You got a safety that can start sooner rather than later. You got an elite deep threat, in my opinion, in this draft, and you got a high-end developmental tackle. Well, do I think he develops? I'm worried.
It's a draft you have when you have mostly everything.
Exactly.
It's a draft you have when you have mostly everything, right?
Yeah.
Like it's.
So Las Vegas Raiders, from a process standpoint, big fan of where they went. They went back to kind of just BPA, guys we know are going to be good.
Yeah.
Tight end, center for the first
Brock Bowers,
Jack Johnson. Not high-value positions, but guys who at that position can be elite players.
Right.
You know, their ceiling is number 1 player in the NFL at that position.
Exactly. And I think
that
that's
still
a
has
good
value.
thing. That has real value. That's very, I think that's an important thing to mention. But what about the Broncos?
Broncos, I like Bo Nix.
So
it's going to depend on Bo Nix.
They get their franchise quarterback.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of it. I think he fits perfectly for Sean Payton's offense. Does he end up in the Mahomes, Allen, Joe Burrow tier? No. Do you need those guys to win games in the NFL? Also no. So I do think he's going to be a good QB. I think Troy Franklin, the 4th round, is great value. Jonah Ellis, a solid developmental prospect. And I like Chris Abrams, Ray, and Audric Estime. So on a pick-for-pick basis, man, I think that might be one for me in this draft.
Okay, I can live with that.
But also, I don't think there's any misses in this division. I like what the Chargers did with Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, Junior Colson. I didn't love their day 3, but it doesn't really matter. Those are your top 100 picks. That's what you care about. Those guys are all studs. So
there you go.
So I think that division, we chalk up a bunch of W's there. That was just a good division draft.
All right. Let's go NFC North.
All right.
All right. What do you want? Let's start with the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Or the East?
East. Sorry. East. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, you're about to pull a Micah Parsons there and start arguing that a division is the best division in football, and when it's
absolutely
the wrong division. Cowboys, I can't give a super high grade to when they had one of the biggest reaches in the first round, for my money. Now, I think they picked it up. After that, I think Marshawn Nealon's a very solid edge player. I think Cooper Beebe is a starting day 1 guard or center for you. I think Kalen Carson's a nice day 3 corner with a little versatility. So, okay draft. I just call it okay.
I call it okay, too.
Yeah. Philadelphia Eagles, we don't have to harp too long in it. We get it.
They won.
They had a top 5 draft of anyone in the NFL. Yeah. Not only are Cooper Mitchell, combined their first 2 corners, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, not only are they nasty corners, DeJean's versatile enough, they also fit their scheme. They're the 2 best scheme fits.
Yes.
The 2 best zone corners in this class go to Vic Fangio, the zone king, right? So that not only that,
we know they win.
They get on day 3 Johnny Wilson.
Yep.
My favorite tight end project in this class. And Jeremiah Trotter, your guy, who even I didn't love his tape, I think at that point is a great value. So elite draft. I thought the Giants, after Malik Neighbors, the pick that kind of picked itself, they did just okay. I love that they got Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy in day 3.
Right.
Those are 2 athletic, high-end projects at tight end and running back that could figure it out. Nubin's solid. It felt like they kind of had to go safety, though, after losing Xavier McKinney. I thought there were some better players on the board, but Nubin I'm not going to argue with. Andrew Phillips is definitely kind of a boomer bust sort of outside corner. That's where you're going. So,
and then we got the last one, Commanders. Let's go quick. I love Luke McCaffrey. Obviously, the last pick of that day 2. But overall, here's the thing. They didn't really mess it up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a win for them.
But they came in with gobs of draft capital.
Right.
I think the second most draft capital of any team in the NFL, behind the Bears. This is in terms of like total value. And that's only because the Bears had picked 1 and picked 9. So they had a ton. I think they got a lot of players who can start for you. But they were always going to. So I'll just give them, that's like a solid B plus A minus sort of draft. So this division, Cowboys and Giants are probably if you're picking losers, those are probably the 2 teams I was like, Eagles, Commanders.
Yeah.
I liked.
So I'm going to start with the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy, in theory, you've got your franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. So that feels like a win for, at least like in my mind, it feels like a win for the city, right?
Win that they didn't have to give up picks for it, too.
Yes.
You always like that.
What do you like about the Packers?
And then Dallas Turner, I think that was, even though I traded up a lot for him, I think he's worth it. Packers, first 3 picks, solid as can be. Jordan Morgan, Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard. Bullard's my number 1 safety. Morgan, my number 1 guard. Cooper, my number 3 linebacker, but also it was like conversationally they were close. If you weren't going to draft Peyton Wilson, a lot of people weren't. He was the best fit for their scheme, schematically, what the Packers wanted to do. After that, nothing much else to write home about for the Packers. But the top 3 picks are really what you care about. So fine draft for them. And then the Detroit Lions ripped the absolute doorknob off this draft.
I think them and
the Bears, it's just like those were drafts, man. Those were good.
Well, I was going to say
franchise
Lions, Bears,
drafts.
and Eagles right now feel like the 3 biggest winners.
Yeah. Lions and Bears, they're in the top 5 drafts that I like in the NFL. So those are great drafts for them.
And then, can we just say the Falcons are
the Falcons we did not like. We don't have to go pick by pick. They're the loser of the NFC. They're the loser of the NFC South.
I'm trying to figure out who the winners are in the South.
I did not love the Carolina Panthers draft, unfortunately.
Neither did I.
Now, I like Jonathan Brooks, but he's coming off an ACL, so how much does he add right now? Xavier Leggett, I thought I had as the biggest reach of the first round. Trevin Wallace is a project at linebacker, just a little bit higher than I would go for project linebacker. And then on day 3, I like Michael Barrett, who just came off the board, who we haven't talked about yet, but he's a 2-down linebacker. And then Ja'Tavion Sanders, solid pick there. Ooh, by the way, Michael Pratt just coming off the board to the Green Bay Packers. There's your boy.
There's my guy.
They
Michael
needed
Pratt.
Little Sean Clifford QB camp battle going to happen there.
I love it.
New Orleans Saints, they also, I think, qualify as one that I was not super excited about. Even if I think Spencer Rattler is a good pick, the reason you have him on day 2 is because you didn't think he was a franchise guy. So solid there to get him. Kool-Aid, a good value pick. Just Talia a little bit of a reach. I don't know. Actually, I can't hate on it too much. Now I'm thinking about it more.
Yeah.
I think they got 2 good players, even if it was they had a higher draft capital than I thought that maybe the guys that came away with were. So I think in that division, the Bucks, did they have the best draft of the bunch?
Yes.
Do you think?
Probably, yeah, but none of them.
Nothing that really got me too excited in this division. Yeah. I like Graham Barton. I like Tyke Smith. I like Jalen McMillan. I like Bucky Irving. Chris Braswell solid. So probably the Bucks.
It's still going to be the worst division in the NFC. And
I
then
would probably agree.
The West, you get Kyler a weapon and Marvin Harrison Jr. You get Trey Benson.
So you get kitchen sink here at it.
Yeah.
Darius Robinson's a solid starting defensive end, too.
Yeah, so you get that.
I thought they were fine. I thought that was good. Kind of like, I didn't agree with every single pick, but the strategy to just load up, just kind of reset this roster. What do they have now? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks.
Yeah.
They got 12 guys.
So we got that. We've got the 49ers.
I love the 49ers draft, man. They're going to have one of my favorite drafts of anyone. But it's because they didn't have a ton of draft capital, but they kind of pick for pick went real nice. And I also love the Seahawks draft. It was another one where they didn't have a ton of draft capital, but Byron Murphy's an insane guy at pick 16. Christian Haynes is a starting guard. Tyrus Knight could be a starting linebacker, and that's in the 4th round. So not a lot of draft capital, but like what they got. And DJ James later as well. They got DJ James and Nehemiah Pritchett.
Yeah.
So in that division, we need to touch on the Rams. Let's hit the Rams real quick.
Yeah, Rams, and then we can go to the draft board and show everybody.
Reset them. Where's the Rams? What they got? The Hall. Why can't I find them? All right.
Here we go.
Verse, 1st rounder. Braden Fiskey, 2nd rounder. They go double dip on the FSU D-line, excuse me. Blake Corum in the 3rd. Solid back. That was weird, though. Kyron Williams. Cam Kinchens in the 3rd. I didn't love this draft. I think Jared Verse is a good player. Fiskey was a massive reach. Corum feels redundant to Kyron Williams. And Cam Kinchens, I like, but that's where I would have drafted him. It wasn't like a value or anything. So in that division, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals,
there we go.
Rams is kind of how I would rank those. But biggest winners overall, I said the 2 NFC North teams, Lions, Bears, which
Lions, Bears.
I hate to see.
Eagles.
I think Eagles, Colts, and then who am I going to round out my top 5 with? Gosh. Let's go. Who do I want to say?
You got
Steelers.
Steelers. There we go.
There's top 5. No order, but those are the top 5 drafts in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it. I can get down with that. All right.